And what's nice is whether you get summer EBT or not, you can still go to these feeding sites. So it's not like an either or.
It's an extra.
It's a both and. Yeah. Let's make sure that there's resources.
My other question around that is, does that EBT expire? So just for my families who are eligible and you get it, I just want to make sure you know the deadline of when you need to use it.
Yes. Well, you can apply up through August 13th.
Okay.
And last I heard, you have 122 days from the issuance of the benefit. So it might not. There might be a few days between when it was issued and put on your card and when you receive it. But from the day it was issued, you have 122 days.
So family, if you like me and you have a growing teenager in the home, check to see. So when school lets out for the summer, so does a lot of the systems and structures that families depend on, particularly food. And so in this episode, we're going to be talking about how Chicago organizations are stepping in to fill the gap. And I'm so grateful to be joined here today with Camerin from the Greater Chicago Food Depository. I'm excited to have you here, Camerin. Welcome.
Thank you so much for the privilege of being here and part of one of your really meaningful conversations. Really grateful. And I love that you're addressing this issue in your podcast. And so it's a privilege to be here. Thank you.
And so, Camerin, before we jump in, Camerin, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do at the organization?
Of course. We're the Greater Chicago Food Depository. We're like the mothership that provides food, where we buy all the food and distribute it out to the more than 800 organizations around Cook County free of cost, so that they can distribute it to our neighbors free of cost. So because we believe that food is a basic human right, and we want to make sure that all of our neighbors have access to it. So I'm the communications manager, so I get the joy of telling the stories of the people that are doing the work, that are supporting the work, that are receiving the work. And so really grateful to get to be a part of that good work and that mission.
So, just for my family, because this is a village here, and this is where we come to learn, we come to Circle Time Conversations to really gain insight and knowledge. And it's really a place where we can demystify any things that are not true that families may or may not know. And so just, as we're starting this conversation, can you tell me a little bit about how you're defining food insecurities, just so we're all on the same playing field when we're having a conversation today?
I think it's a great question, because I think a lot of times we use the words hunger and food insecurity interchangeably. And I get it, but it's kind of does a disservice, because we've all experienced hunger at some point. We've all had that, skipped a meal or, whatever. That's different from food insecurity. Food insecurity is, I'm not entirely sure where my next meal is going to come from. I might have half a jar of peanut butter, some crackers, a few pieces of bread in the fridge, a little bit of milk, but it's not enough to assemble a whole meal. And it's not enough to put on the table for my family tonight, tomorrow night, the day after. So it's that's the insecurity part of it. It's like, I'm not secure in knowing where my next meal is coming from. And so we, in our country, in our amazing city, that shouldn't be the case for any of our neighbors. Our country produces enough food for everyone. And so we, as an organization, bridge the gap and try to help make the connections between the food that is there and is available and is being produced and is being grown here with the people who need it. And so that is why we say we're on a mission to end hunger and really trying to make sure that nobody has to experience food insecurity.
I love that. And I'm so grateful that you took the time to define it in that way. I think that's going to open a lot of ideas and connections kind of for families. What does the hunger look like in Cook County or in Chicago?
It is probably higher than a lot of people realize. Across the board, 1 in 5 families is dealing with food insecurity. When we talk about families with children, which is, of course, they're doing today, 1 in 4 families in the Chicago metro area with children is experiencing food insecurity. And think about that. 1 in 4 families. That's 25% of our neighbors. And that's just not acceptable. Like, we are not okay with that at the Food Depository. And so really trying to do what we can to help fill in the gap, especially for our youngest neighbors who are just learning and growing and, just doing their best to become, grow up and be healthy. And so we want them to have, not to have to worry about that. That's not something that we want our youngest neighbors to have to deal with. That's a heavy burden for a kid. And so really trying to make sure that the resources are out there and that parents and caregivers are aware of those resources that are out there. So that's why I'm especially excited about this conversation today.
And I know we'll get into like how you're outreaching to families and where families can go. I think we'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to stay right here and kind of talk a little bit about like when you think about children at school and you think about their access to opportunities over the summer, talk to me a little bit about what's available to them.
Yeah, well, of course, we all know that, like you said at the beginning, so many of our kids, and especially it's wonderful that Chicago Public Schools have free breakfast, free lunch, fabulous.
Yes.
But then when the summer happens, so many parents who are already, really trying to make ends meet, 2 more meals a day per kid. That's a heavy burden. We all know how expensive groceries are. And so really trying to provide different programs, places where kids can go and get those meals, because we want to partner with the parents and partner with community organizations. So we, as the Greater Chicago Food Depository, we provide food to more than 100 different community organizations, libraries, churches, different day camps, so that a lot of these are programs that they're already offering. And by providing them the food, then they have the time and the resources and the finances to really provide some robust programming. And again, that's a burden off their shoulders and a burden off the parents' shoulders, thinking about where are they going to get a breakfast, a snack, a lunch, different things throughout the day. So, and we know a lot of these programs are already helping parents because they're working and they need a place for their kids. And so to know that their kids are in a program where they're getting nutritious meals, not just any food. We know that the nutritious stuff is sometimes more expensive. Produce, fruit, vegetables, those are so important for the nutrients for young growing bodies. But those are some of the most expensive items in the grocery store. And so because we are buying in bulk, because we have good partnerships, we can get good deals on those things, buying them in bulk and then providing them to all of our different partners. And so we're really grateful for that.
Let me tell you, as a woman with a teenager, you already know where I'm going. I was like, wait, how long is she going to be in this house? Like, she is eating me out of house and home. So I can definitely imagine what that's like for families that are maybe have multiple. I only have one.
Yeah.
But if you have like multiple and, they're growing, they're hungry, they're in the house all day. This is such a wonderful partnership and opportunity that you're doing with other organizations across the city. Mm-hmm. And I do have experience with some of those. We launched our Chicago Early Learning. This is a plug, our Chicago Early Learning application for pre-K. And we partner with Chicago Public Libraries. And I know that's one of the sites where families can go and get lunch because, during the process of helping families with applying for preschool, families were then able to go out and take advantage and get a lunch for their little ones as well. And it was so well received. And it was such a wonderful opportunity to not only bring the school into the library, into the partnership that they already have with you.
Yeah, and that's what we love about our partners throughout the area. These are places that are already in the communities. They're places that are trusted. Yes. Like the libraries, the churches, the community centers, different places where it's easy to access from families. We want it to be walking distance, if at all possible, because we don't want to add that different layer of transportation. We don't want there to be any barriers. There's enough of those as it is. And so let's try to make food accessible to everyone. And so, we love all of our partners. And so we're just grateful for the way that they blanket the city, and really we're just providing them the goods and they're getting them out there to our neighbors. And so that's awesome.
We refer families to the pantry as well.
Fabulous.
As a part of our work within the district. So yeah, that's perfect.
Because a lot of those pantries especially are part of organizations. I was just at one in Oak Park the other day that has, they had free blood pressure screenings. They had
nice.
A person that was always there to provide help connecting with safety net programs.
Right.
They had a cooking demonstration, and just using food that they'd gotten at the pantry. So just these different,
bring that in for sure.
Yeah. And we know other ones that have housing, job support, all of that, because food insecurity doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's usually part of a whole set of needs that a household is experiencing. And so, let's treat the whole person.
So Camerin, let's talk a little bit about how you decide which organizations to partner with, and also how do you talk a little bit about the wraparound services that families are offered to as a part of being exposed to the services and supports that your organization provides?
Wonderful. Yes, we are so grateful for our partners. Again, we've got more than 800. We talk about like the 200 plus youth sites throughout the city, but we have over 800 partners that have food pantries, soup kitchens, shelters, other things around Cook County. And we're so grateful for all these partners. We have a process of selecting those and making sure that they're good partners, that we're good partners to them. Yeah. And so that's a whole process. But then we love that so many of these sites, as you stated, offer other services as well. I have been visited some of our pantries. There's one that offers housing and job assistance.
Nice.
And I love that one of the volunteers there told me a story about somebody that they helped when they, just in conversation with somebody at the food pantry, learned that they were living in their car. And hey, we've got other services. Could you walk down the hall and talk with my colleague, and they would love to help connect you. And so they connected that person to housing, and now every time the person comes back to the food pantry to get their groceries, it's like old home. They hug each other, and they're just so grateful. It's like they've become family. And so I love the way that our partners really take care of our neighbors. Somebody is always there who provides help with safety net programs, making sure that our neighbors are connected to all the programs that they are eligible for. Because, each piece of there's a need. And so sometimes, the food pantry can't provide all of it. But if we can plug all these resources in together, and if there are things available, let's make sure that you're taking advantage of those and getting all the resources that you need.
I love that, because so often our most vulnerable families are hit with barrier after barrier. You got to go through this door. You got to jump through this hoop. I love how you're thinking about it in a way of, if we get them in the door, let's try to meet as many needs as we can while we have them inside. And I think that's how we approach it too at the school. It's yes, we have their attention for those hours during the summer. Let's make sure that they're getting the right education that they need. They're having joy. They're exposed and to fun, but they're also learning. But we also know that students can't learn if they're hungry, right? So we gotta meet some of those basic needs within that school day. And so, and that's what organizations like yours during the summer is helping meet that need.
Yeah, and I love that. A lot of times it might be hunger that gets them in the door, because think about that. That's such an immediate need. You can only go so many days without eating. And so if that'll bring them in the door, then we can, as our partners get to know the person better, because most of our pantries are set up in a way that it's like a market, where it's like they get to shop and select the items that make sense for their family, and that their kids like to eat, that will eat, So while the volunteers are interacting with them in that process, they get to know some of the needs. And so really finding out what else are you dealing with? Because so often food insecurity doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's something that is part of a larger need. And navigating some of the sources that are out there to help is complicated. And so let's help them navigate that so that they can get those resources. We don't want some of that complication and some of that confusion to be a barrier to getting the assistance that they need.
And then tell me a little bit about, like, I'm familiar with it because within our early childhood program, we have wonderful family engagement coordinators, and it's their job to know all of the different organizations that are available for families to provide some access to whatever the family's feeling like is a barrier for them. Mm-hmm. And so I know my team is aware, but tell us how other families, my village here who may not be aware, tell me how can they find out about all of the wonderful pantries that are available, all of the wonderful partnerships, and where students can get, or children can get, food this summer.
Wonderful. So on our website, the Greater Chicago Food Depository website, which is chicagosfoodbank.org, there's a button on the homepage that says Find Food. You click on that, you put in your address, you put in your zip code, and you will find the food pantries, soup kitchens, other places in your area, hopefully within walking distance to you, but nearby, that you can go and visit. And it has all the hours, it has all the information you need. It also has information about some of the wraparound services that each of those locations provide, like that this is one that offers benefits assistance, that this is one that has other different things that are available. And so that's a really great resource, and that's a great way to find what's in your neighborhood. For the children's summer feeding programs, the website WeGotYouIllinois.org is a website that has information about, again, you can plug in your address and it'll tell you the different youth programs, feeding sites available for children within your area. And it also has information about Summer EBT, which is a new summer program that was brought in by the federal government last year that provides a grocery benefit for parents of school-age kids, just to help, again, meet that gap that happens in the summer and help parents purchase food that the kids are normally getting during the school year.
Now, that summer EBT, is that for, because at one point, I think I remember they did it for all children across, I know the ones that were enrolled in school. Is that still the case, or do you have to qualify? What are the qualifications for that program?
There is a qualifying, and it's a little complicated, so it's almost easier just to go to the website and find out. It's based on income, mainly income. It's like it needs to be 185% of the federal poverty level, which is just a common indicator of need. And so there's a screening tool at WeGotYouIllinois.org that you can just plug in your information. It guides you through. You can find out if you're already enrolled in the program, because if you participated last year was the first year that this rolled out. Some kids were already rolled over and already you're set. If you can find out you're already in the system, great. No action needed. But if you think that you're still eligible, there's an application there, and there's information to help you figure out whether you are eligible or not. And what's nice is whether you get summer EBT or not, you can still go to these feeding sites. So it's not like an either or.
It's an extra.
It's a both and. Yeah. Let's make sure that there's resources.
My other question around that is, does that EBT expire? So just for my families who are eligible and you get it, I just want to make sure you know the deadline of when you need to use it.
Yes. Well, you can apply up through August 13th.
Okay.
And last I heard, you have 122 days from the issuance of the benefit. So there might be a few days between when it was issued and put on your card and when you receive it, but from the day it was issued, you have 122 days.
So family, if you like me and you have a growing teenager in the home, check to see.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I will say that I love about our city. Our city is the best with providing supports and resources to families. And we live in the best state, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so much opportunity for Illinoisans across the state. And so this is not just the Chicago things, which is great to hear.
Yes. And what was wonderful is that this was a new federal program that rolled out last year. Illinois was one of the first to say, yes, we're on board. We're providing this for our state residents. And so really proud of Illinois in the way that they stepped up and said, yeah, we're going to make it happen. I know there were a lot of logistical hurdles they had to jump through to kind of stand it up really quickly, but they got it done. And they got the resources out there. And so this summer will be even smoother because they've had, that first summer got some of the bugs out of the system. And so we're just so grateful. We live in a good state for some of those resources. So we're really grateful.
So Camerin, clearly there's information out for everyone and there's support and resources out there. I want to switch and talk a little bit about the stigma around it, right? So how do you or your organization or your partners, you talked a little bit about it, but how do they build trust with those families who may not want everyone to know I need help or I'm in this situation? Yeah. Because I think at any point in time, it could be one of us, right? It's not just a certain set of people, it could be either one of us at any given day or time.
Yeah. Oh, let's be honest. All of us at some point in our life are going to need help with something. And so the soonest we can just all admit that and come to terms with that, I think a lot of us are more comfortable being the giver than the receiver. But what I also love is that so many of our partners, the volunteers, are also either former pantry guests or current pantry guests. And so they're so motivated to make sure that others get some of our most generous and first to volunteer are the people who are receiving help themselves. And I just think that is awesome because they understand the value of it. And so I think when you've got somebody there greeting you at the front door and somebody walking you through the process who's like, it's okay. We're in this together. We got, we're here for you. And I think one of the specific ways we can really provide dignity for our pantry guests is making sure that, hey, if you've got neighbors with a variety of different languages speaking in your neighborhood, have those signage in different languages all around your site. And we are so grateful for our partners who do that. And we help provide as many resources as we can because we've got a lot of languages that are spoken around Chicago. Making sure, and we also make sure that there's culturally appropriate foods for each neighborhood because what they're eating in Uptown versus what they're eating in, Flossmoor, it's different. They want different things. And so making sure that there's unique needs are being met. And so, and I think we're just really grateful that our partners are really trying to welcome people in, that there's no questions asked. We're not like, can you prove that you need this? It's just, no, we're here for you and we have a resource and we're glad that you came in because I know it's difficult to walk in the door of a food pantry that first time. Yeah. I remember years ago when I had to go on unemployment and signing up for that, it was humbling, but people reminded me like, this is what this is here for, and so it just hopefully as we have these conversations, and this is why we often try to tell the stories of the people who are going to our food pantries. I'm so grateful for the pantry guests who are willing to share their story because I think anytime somebody reads one of those stories or sees something on social media from somebody who has been there and go, oh, well, if she can do it, if he can go do that, I can too. And I think that we just don't, that stigma should not exist. Like we all need help at some point, and let's be kind humans and be there for one another. When we can give, let's give. When we need help, let's step up and take it.
And it's so hard sometimes to be on that receiving end. Oof. And so I think we need to, one of the things, family, I'm gonna need you to help me with is demystifying that.
Yeah.
And letting your family, letting your friends, letting your colleagues, let everybody know it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be on the receiving end for whatever the service is.
Yes. And I think it's just people being honest. I think it behooves all of us just to be more honest with one another. Like, I am dealing with a need right now, or I need help in this situation. We've probably all been in that situation where you find out a friend was struggling with something and you're like, why didn't you tell me? I would have been happy to be there for you. Yeah. And let's normalize this. Let's normalize that it's okay to need help. It's okay to say, this is not going great right now, and I need a little assistance here, and that's okay, so that we can rally around one another. There's different seasons where we're going to need that help, and there's other seasons where we can give it, and all of those should be good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. So we began the podcast really taking some time to understand what is food insecurity. And that's really important because here in the circle, we take time to demystify any myths, to really get to the truth and the heart of information and what's accessible to families and children across Chicago. And so we have a fun way to do this next segment. It's my favorite game. I don't know if you played Red Light, Green Light as a kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's my favorite game. And so we're going to use that as a way to demystify. So I'm going to ask you some questions. And if they're correct, we're going to put up the green paddle.
Okay.
If it's maybe,
okay,
put up the yellow. And if it's clearly a myth or not true, we want to put up the red paddle, okay?
All right.
All right, so let me know when you're ready, and then I'll ask you the first question.
I'm ready.
Right.
I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready.
So, first question is, summer meals are only available to those families who are already in government programs. Yes, tell my family why that is a no, or a myth, or not true.
Again, our summer feeding programs are available to anyone. Any kids who walk up, if you're under 18, you're qualified. If you're a kid and you are there and and we've got food, it's yours.
Perfect.
So there are no stipulations. We want to make sure that those barriers are not there.
Given that question, I just want to ask you, why do you think some families may assume that they need to be in a government program before they're eligible to participate?
Yeah, I think there's some confusion out there with different programs and different resources. And I think there are some other programs that have, hoops you need to jump through. But these are a lot of our partners throughout the Chicago area. And I think this is just available to everyone. And so I think that's a little more rare, maybe, unfortunately. And so we're grateful that our partners provide meals free of charge. And we're so grateful to be a part of that and making sure that our local kiddos get the resources and the nutrition that they need.
And give the website one more time, because
Sure.
I want families to know this is where you can go to find out where anyone can go to get the food that they need.
Yes. So for food pantries, chicagosfoodbank.org, and that's the website of the Greater Chicago Food Depository. So if you don't remember chicagosfoodbank.org, just look up Greater Chicago Food Depository, and you'll find our website, and there's the Find Food button on there. And then also for summer programs for kids, wegotyouillinois.org.
Got it.
And there's other helpful resources. A lot of the safety net programs, different information about that is also at We Got You Illinois as well.
Okay,
so,
great.
Yeah.
Thanks. Next question is, asking for help is not shameful. It is responsible.
And look, we get that it can be challenging.
Yes.
Nobody wants to necessarily admit. So we get why it might feel shameful, but hopefully we can get past that. Hopefully these programs, we at the Greater Chicago Food Depository, we want to make sure that everyone has the resources they need. And so whatever we can do to get rid of that stigma, we would love it, because we want to make sure that people have the resources they need. There's a lot of other factors that are working against people having, you don't have a good grocery store in your neighborhood. You don't have good jobs in your area. I mean, there's a lot of things that are working against you. Like, let's have something that's working for you.
Yeah, and I also think, too, I think it starts with kind of what we're doing today, right? Just getting the word out, getting the information out to families, putting a call to action, which we'll do later, but really about it's okay to receive, and it's okay to seek out help when needed, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
And so what this really makes me think about is our responsibility as a parent. I know sometimes it's so easy for us to live in this place of maybe distrust or this place of, being ashamed from our circumstances. And we're like, oh, I'm not, I don't want people. I mean, I can speak from my own experience. When I was little, my mother, she was a single mother as well. And we had to seek help. And I remember saying like, I don't want to go get the cheese, because we had to go to get this block of cheese or whatever and bag of food. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm not going. Like, I don't want to do it, but I was the oldest. My mom was working. But I had to, as the oldest, say, okay, let me go get it for my family. And I think as adults and as a single mom myself, and I'm speaking to all the single mothers and all mothers really, sometimes we have to do it. Like my grandmother said, you got to put your big girl clothes on, and take one from the team and go do what's right for the family. And so I want us as women, men, leaders of households to do the right thing for our family and take the steps necessary to receive.
Yeah.
I know it's hard. I know it's shameful. I know you don't want everybody in your business because, I get it. But sometimes it's what's best, because I'm going to tell you, once I got that cheese and I made my grilled cheese sandwiches.
There was joy in that household
There was joy in that household. You will not believe it.
Yeah. And as a kid, I'm sure you were so grateful that your mom did that, because it meant there was food in your house.
Yeah.
And it meant that you had what you needed. And so as hard as that is, and as much as you understand that feeling and that hesitation, at the end of the day, your mom did what she needed to get you guys fed.
And let me tell you,
that is love, and that is dignity, and that is admirable.
And let me tell you, when I walked away, like when I got, like getting there was half the battle, right? So once I was there, I was fine, right? Because everybody was there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then once I walked away, I had no thoughts of all of the anxiety that I put myself through in the beginning. And then, like you said, we were full. We had food. We had options.
Awesome.
So it was good.
That's awesome. Love it.
Last question. So many of these sites are open to all. No questions asked. No ID. No extra documentation that folks need to bring. Correct? Yes.
Yes. Our sites, these food pantries, available to anyone. And I think it's important to talk about, I think sometimes our guests themselves or people who aren't guests, can get an idea of who is food insecure and who is, okay to go into a food pantry. And it's it's a certain set of people, maybe they don't work, or they, have these, they're unhoused, or, different ideas. But man, food insecurity impacts everyone. We see people at our food pantries that are working full time, that are working 2 jobs. We've seen couples where both people are working and they're still struggling to put food on the table. We see moms who have kids with special needs, and it's hard for them to work because, every now and then, I remember one mom I met who, she's like, my kid's school will call me every now and then, and because of his special needs, and I need to go get him right then. My employer, how do I find an employer that's okay with that? And so these are families who are doing the best they can. And so we understand that, and there's no questions asked at our pantries. It's just, if you're willing to walk in the door, we're willing to meet you there with some food.
I think that's so key to put a finer point on. There's no judgment. Just come as you are.
Yeah.
And receive. I think if there's anything that I'm hearing out of this conversation today, it's really about being receptive. It's really about being open. And it's really about taking that first step to get what is needed for your family this summer. Particularly, we're talking about food right now, but it could be any service, really. Yeah. But just being open to that idea and that possibility, there's no judgment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Food is a basic human right, and that's our belief at the Greater Chicago Food Depository. And so we just want to make sure that it's available to everyone, because it's just such a basic need, and we want to make sure that everyone, all our neighbors, have access to it.
So Camerin, I wouldn't be a good teacher or or a school leader if I don't give homework. Mm-hmm. So my family is used to this. My village is used to this. So at the end of every episode, we give a homework assignment. Mm-hmm. And so for me, my homework assignment for them today is to look up where they are able to access any of the information that was shared here today. Mm-hmm. Where are food pantries? Where are they able to go and get summer snacks and lunches for their little ones? what's available within those, what other services are available within those individual partner sites that you mentioned. And so I want to turn it over to you to give our call to action, because not only do we give homework, we also give a call to action as well.
Awesome. I love that. And I have to say, I came from a family of teachers, so they would be very proud that I'm here right now and having these conversations. So if you are looking for food pantries, chicagosfoodbank.org is a wonderful place to go. Put in find food, click on the find food button, put in your address, your zip code, whatever information you want to share, and it'll share the places that are closest to you to find some of the summer resources and other safety net program information. WeGotYouIllinois.org. And so, again, put in your address. It'll tell you places within your neighborhood.
Okay, great. And so, is there anything that you want to leave our guests with before we close out? I just want to say, this has been a wealth of information for me. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for the work of the Greater Food Depository. But is there something else that we want to leave our families with before we close out today?
I love that question. I think we all have a part to play. Food insecurity is such a big issue. And so if you need help, seek it. If you can help, we would love to have people volunteer. We would love to have people donate. What's awesome is that you can go to that same chicagosfoodbank.org, click find food, find a pantry near you, call them up, volunteer. I'm sure they would love that extra set of hands and love the help. Also, at the Greater Chicago Food Depository, we're in Archer Heights. People can come and help repack food. We buy food in bulk, and so we rely on volunteers 5 days a week to come in and repack it from big, pallet of potatoes into like family-sized containers. And we're so grateful for our volunteers. We wouldn't be able to do the work we do without our volunteers, without our donors, without our partners. It takes all of us working together. It takes conversations. It takes people like yourself who are loving on our neighbors and getting the word out there. And so it's awesome. We're so grateful.
Well, it takes a village, guys. So please find a way to connect. Please find a way to partner. I just want to thank you so much. This has been so wonderful. And I appreciate all the work that you and your team is doing, because I know it also takes a village with working with you too. So thank you so much for today.
Oh, thank you for the word that you're getting out there and for the great work that you're doing to support our local families and kids. We're grateful for partners like yourself.
Thank you.